Thanks for staying with us. So right now we want to talk about something that has been on for like, I don't even know. Now, the HIV Trust Fund. It's a private sector-led trust fund promoted by the Nigeria Business Coalition Against AIDS in the book. And it's, of course, in partnership with Nigeria's National Agency for the Control of AIDS, that's NACA. And the core objective is to ensure sustainable mobilization of resources from the private sector to make significant contributions towards funding of HIV programs across Nigeria. A lot more of this will be said in this conversation we're about to have with Dr. Gambo Gumel Aliyu, who is Director General, National Agency for the Control of AIDS. He joins us from our studio in Abuja. Thanks for joining us this morning, Doc.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. This HIV Trust Fund, some would probably be hearing about this for the very first time. What can you tell us about it? How far back, does the HIV Trust Fund go?
All right. So this is an initiative that predates my coming to office. The idea was there even before I come to office in 2019. And the goal is to see how private sector support government effort, especially at eliminating mother-to-child transmission of HIV. One out of every 7 babies born with HIV globally is a Nigerian. And every year, about 22,000 babies get HIV through their mothers. And this is something that is preventable, is doable, in many places in the world. Now, the discussion is elimination, and some have succeeded in eliminating mother-to-child transmission of HIV. And we cannot think of eradicating HIV without producing a HIV-free generation. And the other thing that people should have in mind is that the unborn baby has the right to be protected from having HIV, and that right should be granted by the parents.
I agree. Doctor, you say it's a private sector-led initiative. How much support are you getting, how much support is the trust fund getting from the private sector?
So it is 100% private sector-led. What we mean by private sector-led is that it has chief executives, it has board, but all these, the chief executives and the board, with the exception of myself that sit on the board, they are all from private sector. And the idea here is mobilizing resources by private sector and managing those resources also by private sector. On our side, the government, we would request for commodities, we would request for logistics. It is important to have virtually every pregnant woman in the country tested for HIV. That means every pregnancy should be tested for HIV, and we need kits to test for HIV for this pregnancy. For instance, in a year, we test approximately 2 million pregnant women. And we have in our target about 8 million pregnant women to test. This giving access to the kits and making drugs available for those ones that turn out to be HIV positive to be used in preventing mother-to-child transmission or even eliminating mother-to-child transmission, as well as measuring to see that we have done a good job in suppressing this virus within the pregnant woman before they deliver. All these are essential and require money. And this is the area where we're looking forward to private sector to support, provide the commodities, provide the testing kits, and provide the logistics. And once that is done, the gaps now we have that now exist, where we only cover about half of the expected pregnant mothers nationwide, will now be filled. And we're confident if this comes to fruition, we will see improvement in terms of our coverage from the current barely 46% nationwide to approaching 100%.
Yeah, Doc, is this testing only happening in public hospitals, public health establishments?
It is happening in both private and public establishment. However, we've come to realize that for the past almost 20 years that we have had this program at the facility level, we succeed whenever we have pregnant women reporting to the facility to make sure that pregnant woman is tested for HIV, and for those that turn out to be HIV positive, we also almost 100% succeed in linking them up to our services within the facility to take the life-saving medication and make sure that the unborn baby is protected from having HIV. However, we realize there is the vast majority, or almost half, of these expectant mothers that don't show up in our facility. They rather show at a community center, they rather show at some religious places of worship, where they get some services there in terms of their antenatal services. And then some of them get services from a traditional birth attendant that is in the neighborhood, or a trained nurse that is in the neighborhood. They don't come to hospitals. So these are our targets now. These are the group that we want to make sure we reach out to, meet them wherever is convenient for them, and also escalate awareness for people to realize that whenever you have pregnancy, that pregnancy is entitled to be tested for HIV, and that right should be guaranteed by the couple. The mother and the father must realize that there is some work here to do, and that work is to prevent this coming baby from having HIV. There is no way we can do that without testing to find out whether the mother has HIV during pregnancy or not.
Yeah, Doctor, how much awareness is there of the existence of this trust fund, so that women will actually, if they're not told about it when they go for their antenatal, they actually ask for more information about it?
So the trust fund is just coming into existence. It will be launched next week, February 1st to be precise, by His Excellency the President of Nigeria.
Okay.
And we are hoping from that time going forward, people will get to know that there is a substantial work in eradicating HIV that the private sector in Nigeria is doing. And this is a follow-up to what the private sector has done in helping the country to fight COVID-19 infection. It is evident that the CACOVID, which is a coalition of private sector against COVID-19, has played a major role in helping the country to fight COVID-19 and achieve the results we are now seeing visibly all over the country, and we are happy with. So this is the same strategy we are applying here. We want to see in the next 1 year or two, there has been a kind of a turnaround in getting pregnant women wherever they are, and making sure that we get them tested for HIV. Those that are HIV positive, link them to facilities or to centers where they will receive life-saving medication. And this is very important in preventing that HIV from leaving the mother to affect the unborn baby.
The stats you gave earlier, Doc, 1 in 7 babies born is a Nigerian baby. Doesn't that say a lot about NACA and the work that NACA is doing, that NACA has its job cut out?
Not at all. You cannot force people to accept or to come to facility and access services. What I have said is that for every pregnant woman that come to facilities where we provide these services and that accept HIV testing and turn out to be HIV positive, we have 100% success in linking them up to care and making sure that that baby is protected from having HIV.
Okay.
However, if people choose not to come to hospital and to deliver at home, there is nothing NACA can do. The only thing NACA can do is to convince them to either go to their house and test for HIV or take the kits by themselves, because we have self-test kits now available. They can go in the comfort of their room and test to see whether that pregnant mom is HIV positive or she's HIV negative. So this is much we can do, but we cannot force people to come to facility. We cannot force people to take HIV test when they are pregnant. Rather, we create awareness and convince pregnant mothers to consider these services and take advantage of them. And let me tell you something about what NACA has done recently that many people are not aware of. In the last 14 years, before 2019, we have been looking out for cases for HIV all over the country, identifying them and placing them or bringing them to treatment. And we get to know in 2019 that Nigeria has approximately about 2 million people living with HIV/AIDS, courtesy of the survey we did in 2019. So knowing that information and knowing the location where these individuals could probably be found, NACA was given the directive to push for the last mile. As I'm talking to you now, within a span of 2 years, we have identified about 900,000 and placed them on treatment, moving from 800,000 in 2019 that we have to now 1.7 million that are receiving treatment, which means in the number we estimate 2 million, we have about 300,000 more to go to control the epidemic in Nigeria. So this is phenomenal. No country has done this globally, and this is the discussion from Washington to Geneva that Nigeria has done the impossible. So that is what NACA was able to do. But this piece, mother-to-child transmission, is something that affects individuals and rely on somebody's decision. The mom or the couple has the right to make that decision, and NACA cannot force it.
Well, you have quite a list of generals in the private sector. You have amassed quite an army with the HIV Trust Fund of Nigeria. I mean, looking at the names that you have here, it's quite an army. But the question that I would want to ask now is, what are the things that this trust fund investment will buy? What will the investments give to Nigeria? You have spaded around them. Could you give us a few specifics, maybe points?
Okay, for us to identify pregnant mothers that have HIV, the gateway is testing. We need test kits. And when we get these test kits and we identify individuals, we put them on medication. We need this medication. And when we put them on medication, from time to time, we check their blood to find out how this medication is working in making this virus disappear. Because if this virus disappears and is not seen in the blood, it means the virus cannot be transmitted sexually. The virus also cannot leave the mom to affect the unborn baby in the process of delivery. So we need those reagents where the pregnant mom that are receiving medication for HIV will be tested from time to find out the level of their virus. So these three ingredients, if we get them, which it takes a lot of money to buy, will help us go a long way in expanding our coverage from the current 46% to about 100% before the year ends.
How do pregnant women living with HIV, how do they benefit from this program?
This program is available everywhere where we have HIV medications or HIV treatment services. But if people want to find out more, they are free to call our center at NACA at 6222. We have people working from Monday to Friday to provide information on this.
Okay. Is the service free to these women?
It is free.
Okay. That should be encouraging.
Okay, well, that's very interesting, the things that you have said now. But what are the imperatives here? You know, part of what you have also said in the information out there is increase domestic funding to boost efforts to ensure coverage. But then there is also that need to spread the information about this program to the nooks and crannies of the country, especially to the hinterlands, where there's a lot of vulnerability that they may or may not even be aware of. Is there a communication plan?
This is part of it. This is part of the communication plan. You guys have been marvelous in helping us reach out to the farthest places that we cannot reach, in taking this information to the doorstep of people all over the country. You have been doing this job for the last 2 decades, and we have been achieving tremendous results. So we are relying on you.
Well, but you also know that on the farmlands there are no TV stations. So, so there are other things.
But if there are no TV stations, there are radio stations, and
Okay.
people listen to radios.
Okay.
And we are on TV, we are on radio, we are on print media, all over, and also social media.
Okay. All right. So you tell us about this. This launching that you talked about. That this. HTFN is going to be launched by His Excellency in a matter of how long from now, and what happens from then?
In a matter of about 72 hours from now, His Excellency will preside over the launching of this HIV Trust Fund. The fact that His Excellency has accepted to launch this trust fund emphasizes or underscores the importance of the trust fund and the significant role that or gap in our funding process that the trust fund is going to fill. And the confidence also His Excellency has in Nigerian private sector that has turned around things or helped government to turn around things with COVID-19 and with other things, as well as now with HIV on the table.
The question of sustainability naturally comes to my own mind. Because a good number of people, thankfully, NACA has survived, if I can use that term, quite a number of administrations over the years. So the question of sustainability of this trust fund comes to mind, because it is one thing to initiate it and achieve some milestones within a few months or maybe a year. It's another thing altogether for the same program to go on for as long as necessary.
Right. So the plan of this trust fund is to be launched now and raise or mobilize resources and continue to mobilize resources. We have a target for the period of the next 5 years, which means in 5 years to come, we expect to mobilize as much as $150 million to support mother-to-child elimination or transmission, prevention of mother-to-child transmission of HIV in Nigeria. And after that period, initial period of 5 years, then the trust fund will now come back for replenishment. And this may be the beginning of private sector taking significant role, in eradicating lingering epidemics like HIV that have stayed very long around now for 40 years globally, and now that is on track, to one, get control globally, and two, to make sure that the control is sustained. One thing is identifying people living with HIV/AIDS is very critical, and then placing them on treatment is also very critical to make sure that the virus in them continue to disappear, because this is what guarantees prevention of transmission to other people, and also this is what guarantees the virus not getting its way in breaking down the immune system of the individual to make the person sick. However, when we identify virtually everyone that has HIV in this country and we place them on treatment, keeping them on life-saving medication for the rest of their life will be the challenge. And where that money will come after that bridge is reached is what we are now looking forward to establish. And HIV Trust Fund is one of it. We will see significant role now by state governments going forward. We will see significant roles also by federal government going forward. And then we will see renewed effort internally to maximize the resources that we have in terms of getting value for money for every naira that is invested in this area.
Now, Doc, I'm sure there'll be some private concerns who are watching us right now. Should they wish to join this noble cause, how can they do that?
They are free to contact us, and in any way, if they can link up with us by Monday. The launching is on Tuesday, and we will provide the needed access in terms of invitation card and the requisite invitation document, as well as list them among individuals that will be screened to be part of this.
Yes, so how do they reach you?
They are free to reach us through our line in NACA H6222 or through our media outlet. We have our contact on the websites that we have, NACA websites, or they can call on my line and send a text message at 081 8785 5713.
Okay, well, Doc, perhaps another thing that comes to my mind now is the fact that over the years you have done everything possible to educate people about HIV/AIDS, not just pregnant women and the vulnerable little kids and all now. So maybe this is something that people need to be aware of all over again. There are those who may not be aware. How do people avoid getting in contact with the HIV, the human immunodeficiency virus?
This is a very important question. One thing that we're lacking, and if we get today, that will signal the end of HIV in Nigeria and perhaps globally also. And that is this courage that people can have. Summon this courage and ask or demand for HIV services. By the time people start demanding for HIV services, that signals the end of HIV, because people will demand to be tested to find out whether they are HIV positive or negative. And when they are found to be negative, they will also ask questions about how to stay negative for the rest of their life. So that discussion is very, very important. And it's a discussion that we have experts all over the country that are given on a daily basis and also available either on our website or by calling us at NACA 6222. I will provide information about our services, where they are located, and we will also provide information to those who want to know on how to remain HIV negative for the rest of their life. But demanding and asking for that information and demanding for services is the rate limiting step in getting HIV out of our way and in solving HIV problem forever.
Okay. Just one or two other things that we need to take on. There are those who may have, well, thankfully your website is on now, National Agency for Control of AIDS, NACA. That's the website, and anyone who can will just go ahead and look out for it. But you know, Doc, there are those who may have symptoms and they may not even know that what they have is HIV. What are some of those symptoms, by way of just a refresher for those who may need to call your office urgently?
So the way HIV works is, at the beginning, the individual may not even notice any symptom. It could be the same symptom as you have common cold. When you have common cold, you have some fever, you have some itches all over your body, and you may not really realize that you have gotten a virus in your body that is HIV. However, after some period of time, and this period of time varies from individual to individual, Some people could live with HIV for 5 years without knowing that they have HIV, some for 10 years without knowing that they have HIV. During this period, the virus is busy fighting the body defense mechanism, and the body defense is also fighting back. But there will be a point, a breaking point, where the body defense failed to match up the virus ammo, and at this particular time, the defense is broken. So once that body defense is broken, the individual now becomes vulnerable to diseases. And you can see at that time, individual may come up with diarrhea, individual may come up with fever that has not been responding to treatment, especially the common malaria treatment. And also, you may see somebody coming with coughing. You may see somebody coming with weight loss, unexplained weight loss. So when you begin to see this kind of symptoms, then that means that something is wrong. And perhaps probably when you ask them, open your mouth, when they open their mouth, you may see what we call oral thrush there. So this shows that the body defense mechanism is broken to an extent where organisms that ordinarily will not have chance settling and causing diseases now have their way, and they are settling to cause diseases all over the individual's body. And this position, this condition, is what we refer to as AIDS. Once that happens, then AIDS has set in. But before this happens, then this individual only has HIV infection, which with medication, this condition that we call AIDS may not even set in.
All right, so in closing this now, how many, can you estimate the number of people that are living with HIV/AIDS in Nigeria? Because people may not know these things, and you may even come across or come in contact with people living with HIV and not know.
Our estimation shows that we have around 2 million people that live with HIV in Nigeria. Precisely, we have around 1.9 million. And out of that, we have successfully identified around 1.7 million, and we have placed them on life-saving medication. We are looking forward to identify additional 200,000 from now to the mid of 2023, and that will signal control of HIV in the country in terms of putting stop on the heavy running taps that are spreading the virus. And that has to happen for us to control HIV and to end AIDS. One, we must control transmission. Two, we must control HIV from giving people the kind of sickness that people look and say, this person has AIDS. So we must end AIDS, we must end HIV transmission. And we can only do that by identifying people that live with the virus among us and making sure 95% of them, or over 95% of them, are identified. They are placed on life-saving medication, and they are doing well in terms of making this virus disappear in their body at that particular time. Then we will sit down and relax and see this number dropping in terms of the new infection we see every year.
Quickly, is there any obvious way that one can identify someone who's living with AIDS?
Can you come back again, please?
Is there an easy way to identify someone who's living with AIDS?
No, there is no easy way to identify someone who is living with HIV.
Okay.
But someone who is living with AIDS is very easy to identify. If he has AIDS, he will probably not stay at home. He will be in the hospital, and he will be on bed receiving treatment. And this is the condition where the HIV has succeeded in breaking down the body defense mechanism, and this body is not protected at all. So now all the armor that the body has to fight disease are now down, and they are not fighting. And because of that, this individual needs help. And this individual needs to be on the hospital bed receiving antibiotics, receiving all sorts of treatment to make sure that this treatment and medication help to support his body defense mechanism. But when somebody has HIV and without progressing to AIDS, there is no way you can get to know when you see the person physically. In fact, when you see people living with HIV in them that are taking our medication, they live, they shine more than somebody that does not have the virus in them. They look like fresh tomatoes.
Well, that's the hope that, you know, this doesn't ever come down. We have to thank you very much this morning and wish you all the best as the HIV Trust Fund of Nigeria comes on stream. Dr. Gambo Gumel Aliyu, Director General, National Agency for the Control of AIDS, NACA. Thank you so much for your time and thoughts this morning.
My pleasure. Thank you.
We'll return after now for another topic. No, not the home stretch yet. Do stay with us.